Okay, we can't turn back from here. We are recording. Let's get
Cool,
this
cool.
done. Episode 2. I would have started this off the right way this time. Introduce who the hell we are. For one,
hmm
I'm Derwin, or I go by Derwin. I'm just a guy that plays video games. Been playing video games for 20 years. We got Venom. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, Venom.
Yeah. Man, how old am I? I was talking about something today. I've been playing games since like 91. So that's what, 30 years?
Damn. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
From the NES up.
And then we got for Snatchy.
Hell
It's
yeah, it's just me, the miserable pile of secrets.
Hey, collectively, we are just game enthusiasts. We regular Joes, but we out here trying to just talk about video games because we love it. And we supposed to record this on Saturday, but I had this weird feeling because like I was grinding and I was like, how do because I remember I was listening to ACG and he was saying that like he hates grinding, and I get it because like he doesn't have time. Like, how do you can like review all those games and then play games like as crazily as I do? So I'm still trying to find the balance, but like I remember waking up playing 2K and I was like, recording at 11. I'm gonna send a message to the guys, and I looked at the time. It was like 3 o'clock, and I was like, oh god, they don't want to do this anymore because like I've already way past like. I was playing my career game after my career game, doing all these quests, and that's something I'm gonna talk about later with 2K. But like I was grinding, and then I sent a message. I'm not sure what time I sent a message to you, Venom. But I sent a message to Greg. I sent a message to Venom, and
Yeah.
I was like, "We're gonna get on at 7." And then 7 turned into 9, and then Greg hadn't got back to me yet, and I was just like,
Oh yeah,
and
that
then
was
and then I was up at like 3 in the morning playing 2K, and I was just like, what is like I had to like I had this conversation with myself. I was just like I have to like define myself as like not only a podcaster now, but like also a video game podcaster. So I have to like balance it, and it's like we ended the last show with like be consistency, and I was like, okay, so maybe I should just, instead of like beating myself up, maybe I should just redefine it again. Okay, just redefine the parameters. Okay. So if the show comes out on Wednesday, we have to make sure we record sometime between Thursday and Wednesday. So if I don't put myself in these boxes, then I won't like get into this mode of whatever disease I have that makes me feel like a failure every time I meet any of these arbitrary milestones that don't exist. Because I really am, this is an experiment with myself that I'm trying to make sure that I'm having fun, that I love what I'm doing and not
Right.
make
just
it a
doing it
job.
because.
Because that's what with the other videos, it's like it becomes a job, and I instantly go, I'm not clocking in. And I don't want to clock in. I just want to do it when the feeling is right. And if you guys are willing to, I just don't want to make sure you guys are still, cool with that. Like I'm not trying to like, bang the table. Hey, Tom, we missed it. Oh, all is over. The world is ending. I just kind of want to I want it to be natural. Just let it happen. Because a lot of things happened, and there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about. So let's get into the news. So the first thing that happened this week, and I'm just going to start us off, is Warframe's update came out. And the reason why this is not going to be in my playing, like games that I'm playing section, is because I barely played it. I got the free Warframe, and in typical Warframe fashion, the release was super buggy. Now they made up for it because my friend Yudro logged in and he was like, the Warframe's not here, and I was like, how can the Warframe? I'm sure they're gonna. He said they lied. And I was like, Warframe, like, come on, like people are logging in for this Warframe, and I played the Warframe, and for a free Warframe, it's a pretty powerful Warframe, but honestly, like the ship has sailed for me in Warframe to the point where it's like if I get enough friends to play it, I'll play it. But like I get where they're going with the Warframe. Like it's a very balanced Warframe, but I didn't even really have that much like intense gameplay with it. It was kind of like I just played it and logged. I did like literally one mission and leveled them up, and me and Yujiro both collectively said, okay, well, we played the update and turned it off and then never turned it back on. But I want to highlight the fact that I believe that the Warframe, the positive things, and this is why it's in the news section, I believe that what they're doing with Warframe is very positive. Like, the Warframes are the Warframe, like we both said it, the Warframe is very balanced. Like, it's a balanced Warframe, and I feel like if this was a Warframe that the game started with, I feel like the game would be going in a much better direction. And I'm promise I'm going to try to play the end game of Warframe, but I have to get I'm not trying to force myself. This is not a job, so I'm not going to, I just, if I get the gumption to play it, then I'll deliver, more information about the game, this game state and where it's at right now. But I think that the Warframe is well balanced. I mean, every ability feeds into itself. Like, it's the Warframe strips armor. It restores energy to your squad, so it has like support, and it does damage with its like 1 and its 2, and it has like CC as well, so it does everything. Now, one thing that was interesting, that I found was very interesting, is that the third ability for the Warframe gives you like aggro, builds aggro onto yourself, which is something you don't want to do in Warframe. And so instantly, my friend who played with me was like, "That's terrible. That's bad. It's bad." And I'm like, "Well, no, it kind of balances out the experience. Like, you have to kind of think, like, okay, because it was seeming kind of OP, because we were just like, you could just like kind of spam the spears. We were just kind of spamming the spears at the wall. It was like all the enemies were just like choking in. I was like, okay, that's kind of broken. I could just bow, 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 and just like throw all these spears. And I'm just like, okay, where's the catch? And it seems like drawing the aggro on the 3, because you need to build that energy back up. And I was like, okay, so if you draw the aggro, too much aggro, you're going to die, because the hit scan in Warframe is really bad. So you kind of want to take that into account. And I was like, okay, I can see at high levels how this would be useful. And I think that's important, because the people that are in the leadership seat for Warframe is a diverse group, and I feel like they're kind of flexing their muscles with their design. So that was kind of what happened with that. Also, Gotham Knights, and I want to kind of bring you in, Vin. I'm not sure if Greg, you had a chance. I mean, well, do you mind if I call you Greg? I don't know. Maybe he's muted his mic. But I want to bring you in because I don't quite understand. I've been telling people how this crime system works, but what was so confusing to me is the timing of this release, and the fact that I found this to be the most interesting part about Gotham Knights. So can you elaborate on what this actual crime system is? Because I feel like I've been explaining it to people wrong, and I've given them the wrong idea. Because I'm like, the crime system is going to elevate over time.
Hold on. Can Batman finally take a bite of the crime?
Well, Batman is dead, apparently, in the game.
What? How the hell Batman's name is Batman dead?
I think this might be the villain, but that's just my
speculation. I don't know anything about Batman, but how am I going to play as Batman if he's dead?
Well, it's a co-op.
It's the Bat family.
It's the Bat family.
So
you got.
He has a family? I thought he lived in a cave by himself. What is going here?
He kind of does. Yeah, I do want to see a really weird Batman, by the way, but that's another tangent. So, Venom,
the detective system. Explain
to me this crime system in a way that actually makes sense, if you know it.
Yeah, so it seems like they've really integrated the detective stuff into the structure of the game. So where before playing any of these open world games, whether it's Batman, The Witcher, Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon, whatever you're playing, you always come across these, you're given a scene and you start to play detective. Oh, look, there's a blood stain over here, something's happened over there. Then you follow a path. Oh, there's footprints. Then you scan this and you go here, and then eventually you have a fight and whatever. What they've done with Gotham Knights is they've actually built the game structure, the side mission structure, in a way that you really are a detective at all times. And what you do during the day, you stay in the house. and at nighttime, then you go out and solve these crimes. And they literally refer to it as patrol, the devs. So you basically have a board at home with everything that's going on. And every time you go out at night, while you're on patrol, you might hear people talking about a crime, and the crimes develop over time. So, um, uh, sorry if you want to go in completely blind. There's going to be some mild spoilers.
So you're basically you're not minding your business. You're in people's faces. This is the
Yeah,
thing. Okay.
yeah. So you're just out. You might be in the streets. You might overhear certain things, and that gets added to the details of this crime, and then the crimes develop over time. So there might be some crimes that I'm assuming, right? Because they haven't shown any gameplay of this, but I'm assuming you might see a robbery taking place. Okay. Um, you might go over to that robbery, but on your way there, you hear about something different. Something's going on at a hospital, and you go, okay,
Yeah. I can't
I'm
take video
gonna
games.
yes, I'm gonna take care of this robbery, but I've heard this other information here. And then you might take care of the robbery's done, you can wipe that off your board for the night. But the hospital thing is going to be added to your board, and you might not be able, well, there's a good chance you're not going to be able to solve that mystery that night. Some of the short-term crimes that you don't get to that night will disappear, right? That person got robbed. That person had their purse stolen. Like there is stuff you can miss. You can't complete all the crimes in one night. So there's some stuff that you'll miss. And if you, for example, don't manage to catch up to that hospital thread, that thread could develop. So some of the crimes are more elaborate, right? It might be they're moving chemicals here with a view to build up to something later on. So the crime develops overnight, and every night you might hear another piece of the thread, and you start piecing together this more elaborate crime. And then over time, every night you learn more and more, and then you get to a point where, okay, tonight is the night I'm gonna bust them.
Right. And if you combine that with the fact that there's some kind of reputation system where like the cops and the citizens are kind of don't like you in the beginning, but over time they like you. Like I just think this sounds like it has the potential for something very truly unique and interesting. I'm not sure if there's other games that's probably done. There's other games that's probably done this, but not in like with an action game. It's probably been done with like a more, I don't know, some other type of game that allows for more storytelling. But like that sounds so interesting. So immediately the first thing I did was I started telling everybody about it, and it was so much cynicism because why are we hearing about this now? Like it was like, why didn't they start with that? And that was my same question. And I remember distinctly one of my friends said they didn't tell us this at first because they don't believe in it. And so because I got this response back, some people were like, that sounds cool, but some people, majority of people were just kind of like, I don't know. Because it just seems like I found out about this game and it was supposed to be this, beat 'em up, and now they're talking about some system. It seems like it's not really that complicated or well developed. So that's my question to you. Why do you think that they brought this out now instead of leading with this kind of gameplay system? Does it speak to like the fact that it won't be as deep as they wanted, or what's your speculation, I guess, on that?
There's a chance that it came along later. There's been talk of the fact that this team has access to the Nemesis system.
Oh yeah,
And I don't know if you've played Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah.
The Nemesis system, for those that don't know, was basically a hierarchy of villains in Shadow of Mordor. So there would be villains that were basically a captain to another set of villains, and you could manipulate the system in the most simple way just by killing one of the people at the bottom level, right?
Right.
But when you kill someone there, someone takes their place.
Right.
And if you kill someone higher up, then someone gets promoted. But that game has a game mechanic where you can take control of enemies. So what you could actually do was, when you confront them, instead of killing them, you take control of them, and now you control villains on the board, right? And at the time, it was revolutionary, and they thought all games are going to start to have this, and that didn't happen, right? They copyrighted it, and only they have used it. Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor. But there is talk of them possibly, having access to this, and I wonder if they wanted to get certain mechanics down initially, and if they wanted to get things like combat, gear system, and other systems like that to a competent space before they started working on this side of it. It is kind of strange that it hasn't been mentioned, because it does sound like it is going to be fundamental to the game.
Yeah.
And what they showed off, right, like as people have said, what they showed off was a generic action game with loot in it.
It's so interesting. Honestly, it makes me very, very more excited to see how it all pans out. More from a standpoint of like,
absolutely,
man, it's like boom or bust, you know. But I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna play it. So,
right.
And we're coming up on it soon. So very interested in that one. So speaking of, you mentioned copyrights and of certain things, and just having access to things that people created. I saw that you posted something about Sony, and this is something that was more of like, you know, sometimes I try to be like, no, I call myself Nostradamus, because when Microsoft bought Activision, my first thought was, okay, they're going to take Call of Duty. And so I kept saying this, and all of the COD players that I know were like, no, they wouldn't do that. They would lose money. And
that is so funny, because same thing here. Everybody I said, yo, Microsoft is buying up all the companies, right? They're buying literally all the companies. This exclusivity is not going to last for long. People are like, no, you're crazy.
yeah, I felt like I got a lot of resistance. So
yeah, like that was weird.
So I was like, why is this such a like? Why are people so resistant to this? Clearly, what seems to be I mean, it doesn't affect me because I don't play COD, but
exactly.
I just, it was very interesting to me in terms of like the whole console war thing or whatever. So it made it worse because the Microsoft CEO came out and said COD is not leaving Sony, and I was like,
yeah.
When I saw it, I was like, bullshit. You know, like I don't believe him. Like I don't.
He's not lying.
Well, okay.
He's not lying.
Okay, we'll get back to that, because then I found out that Sony is suing Microsoft for in other countries, not America yet, for having a monopoly with buying Activision, because they said that COD is so big that they can't create anything to compete with it. And we do know Microsoft is a way bigger company than Sony. And the reason why they do exclusivity, because that's their way to compete with a giant like Microsoft. So they feel like their exclusivity is not monopolizing, but if Microsoft could make the fact that they could make it exclusive, not that they said they won't, but just because they say they won't doesn't mean they can't do it. They could definitely do it. So it's that threat, that business threat that I feel like causes them to try and get this deal to not go through. And so that's for me, I feel like it's smart for Microsoft to say we're not pulling it off, to not worry the player base. But I think that from my perspective, eventually I feel like they will move it. And what that means for me is I like it because I think it pushes Sony to actually compete in that space. So I like it because I feel like it pushes Sony. Of course, Sony doesn't want it because it's harder it's like you're running uphill. But I think it's good for Sony, because I feel like they kind of sit on their exclusivity. Because I feel like, for me, the way I look at Sony, because I've always had PlayStation over Xbox. I like Sony better. I like the controller better. I like the interface better. I like it used to be that Sony, you didn't have to pay for online access, but then they joined Microsoft in that. So I used to always like Sony better. It was more affordable for me. So I've always been like more on Sony side, just because it was like an easier thing for me to use. But I've always wanted them to have more. I've always wanted something to push them more into other spaces, because they kind of dominate the single player market. But I feel like there's nothing pushing them. And I've heard through the grapevine that Sony has been having big plans for getting more into the multiplayer space. And for me, that's good for me. So the benefit I get of this, the stake that I have in this, is I feel like I want Sony to be pushed more into being more competitive and not just relying so much on their exclusive, like COD well, COD wasn't exclusive, but relying so much on these exclusive titles to carry them.
That's wishful thinking, because the thing about what I've noticed about people who like Sony, so my sister, she has a friend, right? And this guy, I swear to God, I thought these people only existed online. He is a bona fide like Sony fanboy, and I didn't think these people existed in real life, but apparently they do. And it's just like, I feel like to him, game quality doesn't matter. He's a fan of Sony. He doesn't like Microsoft, and it's just like, is there just people like that? Like, honest to goodness, fanboys. It's so weird.
Right.
So it's like, because here's the thing, right? I've always said this about Sony. If it wasn't for the exclusive games, Xbox has been the better buy since the 360. It just has been. The Xbox has better online, has a better controller. Only thing that is keeping Sony afloat is the fact that you can only play Final Fantasy. It's the only reason that people have a PlayStation. Because be honest. If Microsoft didn't shit the bed so hard with the Xbox One when it came out, nobody would have got a PS4. Like, the PS4 was nothing. When Sony announced the PS4, their whole stance was basically, hey, we're not Microsoft. Remember, Microsoft was trying to do that shit where they couldn't, you couldn't have games, you couldn't share your games with people. Like, if you had to use a game and you tried to give it to your friends, like, nope. So all Sony had to do was be like, yo, you can play your friends' used games. They won. But I really feel like since the 360, Microsoft has had the better console. It's had the stronger console. I don't know if you guys remember when the 360 and the PS3 first came out, and every game ran like ass on the PS3 because of Sony's core.
It was difficult to make games for the.
And I really feel
PS4.
like Sony has only survived this long because of their exclusive. So if you tell the average Sony fan, hey, no more Final Fantasy, no more Bloodborne, no more God of War. I don't play Sony games, but those games like Horizon, all those games, they're going away. Microsoft bought everything.
Yeah, but
they bought Bethesda.
That's what they can't do, right? That's what they can't do, and you can't separate the PS4 from its exclusives unless you're only talking about third-party exclusives.
That's the problem.
Because those are in-house. That's like saying Nintendo with no Mario or Zelda. Like, it's not going to happen. They are Nintendo.
There's a difference between Nintendo and Sony. Sony doesn't make any of his games. Even Sony's exclusives are made by Sony. So it's just like
there's Sony Studios though. They are in-house studios.
Yeah, but besides, I think Santa Monica, Sony doesn't actually own those companies like Nintendo does. Like, you take companies like Intelligent Systems.
They do.
Because to me,
Horizon, Guerrilla Games were the makers of Killzone and went across to do Horizon. They're owned by Sony.
But how many studios
they do?
Have? I feel like
a lot.
Horizon, I'm not really knowledgeable about Sony, but I know that.
They do have a lot. They have a lot now.
They have a lot. Okay.
Yeah, they do.
So yeah, I mean, then what's Microsoft? What are they mad about? I mean, if Microsoft is going to take some of their some of those third-party games like Call of Duty that are on both systems and make them exclusive. Games like Elder Scrolls. And honestly, Call of Duty is a big loss, but the biggest loss is honestly the Elder Scrolls because that game has legs.
It don't sell like that though.
They do overturn though. That's the thing about the Elder Scrolls. Like Call of Duty,
What,
will
like
sell great.
microtransactions?
Not even microtransactions. The thing about games like Skyrim is that people still buy Skyrim today. Like that
That's
game's
true.
known. And like but Call of Duty, after that first 2 weeks, nobody's buying it anymore. It's all right.
No,
Next
that's
year,
not true. That's not true.
I feel like no, but most games that spike, especially Sony games, that first 2 weeks is a spike. Like most of the sales are in that first 2 weeks. Yeah, it
Yeah,
falls
not
off.
not
But
Call of
games
Duty
like
though.
Elder Scrolls, but games like Elder Scrolls, people buy them. Like that's why they're
Yeah,
still selling
but
it.
Call of Duty is like that as well. Call of Duty is like that more than any other game. It's Call of Duty, NBA 2K, FIFA. Those are the games that people just buy all year round.
Even when the next one's coming out next year.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh,
That
right. I know what you mean. No, hold on. Sorry. I know what you mean now. Right. You mean they still buy the old. Well, yeah. There's always a new game for them to buy.
Like people were still buying.
But if you look at the chart, like those games sell at a high rate.
Oh yeah, of
all
course.
year round.
They're popular games. What I mean about Skyrim is that it's different from the fact that
You've already made it and you've put it out, and
exactly.
you're just making money. Yeah,
You're gonna sell
over a long time.
But once the new one comes out, the old one's not gonna sell anymore. You're gonna sell a bunch of new ones. But
Right.
something like Skyrim, people are gonna be buying that for the next 10 years. Like, oh shoot, you can do what? It's just it's a different type of game. It has different types of legs. I feel like.
I get that.
And like Microsoft having that is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where I look at this whole situation from a business standpoint is, I saw the comment that who was it saying? I can't remember who was bickering back and forth between the two companies, but
yeah,
the reason I think Xbox will sell those games on Sony platforms is because of the whole reason they're bickering, right? What they're bickering over is not exclusivity. What they are bickering over is sales margins. No, not raw sales either.
Not raw sales.
Sales margins. So what percentage of sales do Microsoft take when they buy Call of Duty on a Sony console? That is what they're arguing over. And that little detail is so important because we've seen this already. Microsoft owns Minecraft, one of the greatest selling games of all time.
Right.
Not Minecraft 2, not Minecraft 3, Kid in the City, right?
Right.
It's one game and it's sold and it still sells, like you're saying with Elder Scrolls, still sells like crazy on mobile, on PC, Epic Game Store, Steam, every single platform you want to talk about, you can buy Minecraft. Right. And it sells like hotcakes and it continues to sell like hotcakes, right?
Right.
That is the game that Microsoft is now playing. That is why it's going to, Call of Duty, Elder Scrolls, all of it, they're going to put it on as many platforms as they can. And then they're going to say, but every time you sell it on your platform, we get 30%. Right?
Honestly, that's really because they weren't going to win if they were doing like the way they were doing it. There's too many Sony fanboys. They were never going to
exactly
for all Sony fanboys from the Microsoft. This is how they have to do it.
Exactly. So they're not playing the and this is the other thing about the games industry, right? You put out consoles and yeah, console sales are great, right? Console sales are only great because of the install base.
Right.
Those companies, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, etc., they make the money off the games. Every time someone made a Nintendo game, they had to pay Nintendo to get the things to make a Nintendo game. And then Nintendo would take a ridiculous cut of the sales.
Right.
And it's because Nintendo operated like that Sony initially wanted to get into bed with them and make a disc-based console. But then Nintendo wanted too much of a cut.
No, that's actually not what happened. What happened was that Sony had stuck some shit in the contract that was like, yo, if we go through with this deal, we're going to own a piece of Mario. We're going to own the pieces of Zelda. We're going to own part of your state.
Right.
Like, nah, fuck that. And smart decision, because that's the only reason you know still around.
Yeah.
There's no way Nintendo could compete with Microsoft and Sony if it wasn't there no Mario and Pokemon.
Right.
Yeah, and that makes sense as well. So yeah, so Sony gets into the business on their own, and they make it a lot easier for developers to make for their console. They take a percentage of sales. They do not charge you to make games for the console, right?
I feel like we got
So
to on the last episode too, and I feel like this is when I said that this is when the industry went into decline because Sony took this money and started trying to make movies.
Yeah.
so yeah, so Microsoft are playing the software sales game. They're saying, look, we make the most money from that anyway. So why don't we sell games on their platform?
Exactly.
Interesting.
That's it.
Interesting.
We sell games on their platform. So we make money from sales on our platform, and if they outsell us in consoles on theirs, cool. More people to buy Minecraft, more people to buy Call of Duty. We don't care about console sales anymore. That's why
It's a smart move.
we put our games on PC as well.
Right.
And Game Pass.
And we
Game
make
Pass
money from there.
laws.
Yeah, subscription sales as well.
Wily Microsoft at it
Yes.
again. Well,
They're playing chess over there.
speaking of playing chess, what game is Cyberpunk playing? Because
Cyberpunk is playing the game of. They basically accrued a bunch of goodwill in the community from The Witcher 3.
Yes, great game.
Basically, they had a bunch of people saying this is the best game ever made. Y'all can do no wrong. You guys are the saviors of video games. Yada 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 yada. And I feel like they took it to the head and they came up with with Cyberpunk. And this is the thing about Cyberpunk. I said this earlier, but they spent 10 years on that just talking shit. Like Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, and there was issues, with online play, whatever. And here comes the Cyberpunk developers. Well, you guys suck. You should make a better game. Just talking shit. They was doing that for years. And so when the game finally came out after all the development time, and it came out like it did, it's just like, yo, I thought y'all was about to save gaming.
Right.
I thought you was about to make the best game ever. And no, you're not.
Well,
yeah.
Venom, I don't know if you want to kind of talk about what, because every time I see on my Twitter feed Cyberpunk, it's like the studio is trying to tell us we're still here. We're committed to making feature content for this game. And the problem I have with it is
nobody cares.
Well, there's that, but there's the problem I have with it is how is this content? I don't know if this is a concern for you, Venom, but how is this content fit within the game? Because it's a game that has multiple endings, right?
Yeah.
So it's like my game ended. I picked my choice. Now, so it was weird for me when I saw the Phantom Liberty trailer,
DLC.
the new DLC, because you have what's Keanu Reeves' character again?
Good question. Johnny Silverhand.
We have Johnny telling V, "Oh, don't get," and they were promoting it like, "Oh, Johnny's at it again."
Telling
he's back at it again.
This is a bad idea. This is a bad idea.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's weird. It was honestly, I don't know if you had the same feeling as me, but I was like, V is dead to me. Like I told V to go. Like this is not a thing. Like I don't have this. It's like, do they understand how nostalgia works? Like I don't have this feeling because the way your game ended so sad, unless you got the good ending. That like what? Like it's almost like they say forget the ending of the game.
Yeah.
We're going to continue content before, and then like, so are you telling me the DLC is going to come out and you play the DLC and then you play the ending again? Like, how does the ending of the game fit into all this new content they're committed to make? And because I have thought that the Phantom Liberty will be after the ending you got, and you pick up from wherever you ended off. So if Johnny is in V, or I don't want to ruin all the endings, but
you can't have this conversation without
like
spoiler warning.
Like my Johnny is now in V, so V is gone. He went into the Matrix. So I would like the DLC to pick up from that. because like
but they can't do that because there's multiple endings, right?
yeah,
Like they would have to find a way to sort of bring everyone to the same point,
yes, and that's the work
and I
that
don't know
but
if that's possible.
that's the work. I think it's possible. It's just like but and it brought me to the question of like how well thought out was this in general.
Yeah.
Like and it's so I had all these weird, that's why I told you, Venom, like this brings up so many questions for me, like,
Mm-hmm.
and so I
Mm-hmm.
was like, how did you feel watching this trailer? Did you feel excited? Did you feel, I know we're gonna play it, but it was just weird for me.
Yeah, it is a little bit weird. I was a little bit excited just because I don't know, the idea of cyberpunk is still really exciting for me, and I did enjoy the game. But there's like it's just not, it doesn't work in the way that you sort of hope or envision based on what you saw before the game came out. And it is, like you were saying, it is a very good game, but like Greg is saying, or for Snatchy is saying, it's not like it pales in comparison to the promises made. And it is a weird mix. Like the fact that they brought out, what is it, update 1.6, and they were like, you can go and get um, the jacket from Edge Runners, which I started today, the anime cyberpunk story
Oh yeah.
that came out today, which is decent. It's like I'm not going back. This is what I told you, right? I'm not going back in for small things. Like I'm not gonna go in and be like, yeah, let me go and find this jacket, and then
It sounds
like
so
I'm not
absurd.
downloading the game to do that,
It sounds
right?
so absurd. Like
Yeah, for these small changes, in what was what a 100-hour adventure for me.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's a weird thing to keep. I mean, bringing out DLC isn't weird, but normally with the DLC, you put it in a place or put it somewhere where you can access it from the end of the game.
Yeah.
And the ending was, as you said, so definitive that you can't really pick up from anywhere.
Right.
Unless they basically say, okay, this is the canon ending, and we're going to go ahead as if this is what happened with everyone's V.
Right.
But that's not going to please people either, right? It's only going to lead to more disappointment. Do you know what I'm curious about? The Witcher had 2 DLCs.
Mm-hmm.
Where did they pick up from? Because there's a lot of endings in The Witcher as well. There's more endings in The Witcher than there is in
I can only
Cyberpunk, I think.
I can only speak on my experience because I don't play games through multiple endings. I get the ending that I got, and that's the one I get attached
Sure,
to.
sure,
So
sure.
for me, this was part of the what was great about The Witcher. Once I finished the main game and I downloaded the DLC, I literally was like aimlessly walking, and then I ended up running to these guys that were like 15 levels higher than me, and then boom, I started the next DLC. Like, so it picked up the way that I would want it, which is like, okay, we're on to the next thing. Like, it wasn't like I had to like.
Whoa. You bought a DLC and you knew where it was and how to get to it?
No,
Crazy.
No, I wasn't even looking for it. Actually, I forgot that I bought them. Like,
Dude,
and
I bought the Dark Souls DLC and they don't tell you shit. Like, really. To enter any Dark Souls from software DLC, it's calculus. Like, this is how you enter Dark Souls DLC. A new enemy spawns in the middle of fucking nowhere. You have to go kill him, get what he drops, and then go to the end of this river, also randomly in the middle of nowhere, and then kill another guy that popped up. And you have to save, reload the game, and then a portal can open. That's how you get to DLC.
oh, from soft.
Yeah.
But no,
more on that later, right?
It's wild.
but no, Venom, I think it's the idea that you said where they just bring you all to like a common point. Because I think once it's wrapped up, no matter what ending you got, you can kind of, because the other DLC kind of picks up on other stories that are kind of hanging around. So everybody, no matter what your ending was, you can pick up those stories because it's dealing with something kind of different.
Right.
Which I thought, and so, man, The Witcher, they I don't. I feel like you're right. It did. Cyberpunk failed my expectations, and I'm so sad about it because The Witcher kind of like for me, like I said, that was one of my before Horizon. That was like one of my favorite games of all time. And now I'm reassessing what my favorite game of all time is in general because I play all these RPGs. But yeah, I feel like The Witcher did it right, and it's weird that they're still spinning out of control. But I want to touch on these three things, and then we can get into what we're playing really
That's
fast.
an interesting topic. What is your favorite game of all time? That's a good question because I don't even know if I can answer that.
Yeah, it's a fool's errand. It's
Yeah.
a fool's errand. Just
But-
enjoy shit.
Right. No, that's right. So, New World, I'm not sure if you heard of this game, is doing a revamp. I'm not going to get into details of it, but it's supposed to fix some of the inconvenience issues. And the only thing I want to say about this is that when I was playing the game, a lot of people, I was saying, you know, hey, this is great, but they're going to lose a lot of people because of the way the game plays is very inconvenient. And everybody that played that game was like, no, this is what we want. And now they're changing it exactly how I would envision it would be, you know, because the fast travel system like was so crazy in the sense that like you had different storages in different areas, and so you had to literally like walk to these different areas. And I get it, so it's supposed to be hard, like I have to walk, but you just literally don't have the like. Sometimes realism is like you don't have the time in a day. Like who has this kind of time? Like I literally got to the point where all my storage spaces were full, and I had to, in order for me to fix the problem, required like a whole week's worth of work. It felt like. I'm not sure if it was actually that, but okay. So that
There's a sweet spot for games like that where it's like, all right, you want to experience the full breadth of the game. Like I can see what games like that are going.
yeah,
That this should be fun. Like
yeah,
all those games, like I know games like all right, RuneScape. I'm hate that I'm talking about RuneScape. Kill me. But in RuneScape, there's a mode called Iron Man mode.
yeah,
It's great because it's like in Iron Man mode, you cannot trade with other players. It's an MMORPG, but you cannot trade with other players. So it makes it so that you have to play RuneScape for real. Like you have a quest, okay, you can't trade with nobody. You can't go to no shops. You have to actually go here and mine clay and mine silver and smelt that shit and do everything yourself. So it makes the game completely different. Now it's wild because some people love this. Some people are like, yo, this is the real RuneScape experience. But some people find it really tedious and just want to, be able to trade with other players to do the quests normally.
yeah. But I want. That's exactly how I felt, and I want to say that this is probably they actually made, and also with the update, they changed each of the towns so that they're actually unique from each other. Which I thought should have came with the game when it dropped. So it was just funny.
Limited version. We're all buying alphas and betas at this point. Nobody's selling the complete game.
So I just wanted to touch on that because New World, for anybody who's never played it or has a PC and wants to try it, the game now should be, I think, how it should have came out for more casual. They should have the hardcore stuff, I think, in the game, but it should be optional because the person who has this kind of time. The other thing with New World is that like we were having wars like 3 times a week, and it's just, I was like, this is not sustainable. Like people have to work, go to school, families, like nobody can be ready for a war every 3 days. And it was like, and so they brought it up to the devs. This is when I knew.
That's the problem though. That's the problem with games because people do have time for that.
Some do, yeah.
Well,
and they complain.
And people want to do that. And if you don't make that available for them, they're going to complain.
And this is my point. Yeah, people do have time for that, but not at the level to sustain an MMO. So,
hey man, you'd be surprised.
No, New World died because of it.
Wow.
And I said, and I told them, I said, look, this is when I knew New World wasn't going to last. I said, they brought it up to the devs. It wasn't me, but like people were also feeling the same way as I was. And they said, we don't want to lower the frequency of the wars because we feel like it's in a good spot right now. I said, so you feel like 3 to 4 wars. You have to understand also what goes into a war. You have to prepare. There is smaller contests. Like you have to, when a war happens, I literally had to be on the game for like 6 hours to prepare for it.
It sounds like a lot. War? You know how big war is?
And
That's a big word.
and the wars were fun. But I said okay, now the game's been out for 2 weeks, we have wars, like 5 wars, we get it. Okay, turn that shit down. Like it should be one more week on Saturday so everybody could be there. Like that's everyone's like, no, but then you can't, like, you know, it's not real, you know, you don't have that real feeling that I can start a war today. Like, I'm like, guys, okay. I was like, all right, okay. And lo and behold, I was right. That's all I want to say. I was right. But
I'll say it's definitely hard to balance a game like that for everybody because I play Fire Emblem Heroes, and I feel like that game has had the same complaint since launch. There's not enough to do. Give us more stuff to do. Meanwhile, I'm like, yo, this game is perfect.
right.
I work full time. I have 2 jobs, and I have enough time to complete everything. It's perfect. Don't add it in. But people will constantly, you know, I want to grind.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem unique to multiplayers, but I just thought that it was a shame for New World because it had such a good thing. Like, it was a lot of fun, but I had to quit because I felt like it became a job because I couldn't keep up personally, and I wasn't rooting for it to fail, by the way, but I just felt like over time people wouldn't have the kind of time needed to sustain that kind of, like, oh, we're in a real world and we're gonna have war every, it's just like, I don't know. I also want to touch quickly on this. Crystal Dynamics takes control of its most beloved games. You sent this, Venom. I did read into that. That's great news because Square Enix, I feel like, blocks a lot of stuff from happening. So
Yeah.
I feel good about that. I know you're a big Tomb Raider fan, or at least I'm not, so that's really good news. But I want to jump into the last 2 topics because this is going to be a big section we have to get through fairly quickly. But
right before we go on, I just want to touch on, while we're talking about multiplayer games and stuff,
sure.
Babylon's Fall is dying in February next year.
Oh my god.
Literally just wanted to say that. No conversation needed.
That game was so weird.
Hold on. Didn't this game just come out?
Yes, it was a game that was released as like an MMO light. It wasn't, I don't even know if you call it MMO. It played like an MMO, but it was like 10 years ago, or maybe like 7 years ago. Like you go into these corridors.
Is this the game I played with you and Yujiro, and I was
Yes.
talking shit the entire time?
Yes, that
Oh,
game,
God.
that Babylon's Fall. Yes, and it's not terrible. It's just, why? Like, it came out way too late. It's almost like it was for a different time, and then they just said, "Fuck it, release it." But it's like you can see from the beginning, this is not sustainable. And I had fun playing it for about 2 days, but like
that game lost me because
and that's what ties back into Crystal Dynamics taking control, because now Crystal Dynamics can actually release these games, because we see what Square Enix will do. They would just hold something, and then once it's past its time and past its prime, they know it's going to fail and they release it anyway for a cash grab. So lesson learned. Good on Crystal Dynamics. Now, what do we got? What are we playing? What are we playing right now?
I'll go first. I won't be long. Last pod, I won't say last week, I said I was playing a lot of Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer. I decided to jump back into the single player and do a New Game Plus run. I found out that New Game Plus gives you like an extra level to all your gear and stuff, and I decided to jump in on the highest difficulty, Lethal Plus, and give it a go. And yeah, I'm already back. Right, I think I've got one main mission left. I 100%ed it, platinumed it and everything the first time around, so I'm just doing what I need to and trying to get all the cosmetics and stuff and get my stuff upgraded the second time around. So it's been a much shorter experience.
Awesome. And I wanted to say I did want to jump back into the multiplayer with you. That when we did that nightmare mission, that mission, I wanted to let you know, I don't know if I told you at the time, was Final Fantasy 14 Extreme Dungeon level fun. that like how that was, that's how Final Fantasy 14 Extreme Dungeons are. And those experiences are so rare. When the difficulty is tuned right, you can beat it, but it takes all hands on deck. Now we did have that one guy with us that was dying a lot.
Count
He was a random, but
him.
that experience of like thrill, man, you just can't beat it. I just wish there was more of that.
Yeah.
Now when I say like multiplayer co-op experiences on the hardest difficulty, that's what I'm talking. We've had that experience together. Now I would say Chaos. What's that game? That
Stranger of
Stranger of
Paradise.
Paradise kind of pushed it a little bit, but it never quite reached that level. It didn't reach that level.
No, it didn't. No, just of like level design and interactivity and stuff like that. No, it wasn't quite there.
Yeah, so we'll jump to you, Greg, but I also want you to give you a chance to talk about Nintendo Direct because I did see Fire Emblem has it did look good. I don't have a Nintendo, but I want to give you a chance to talk about that in addition to what you're playing.
Cool. So last time I talked about playing
Your mic popped out. I'm sorry, say it again.
Oh no, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yeah. All right, bet. All right, so last time I talked about playing Radiant Historia and
That's Radiant Historia, right?
Yes, Radiant Historia.
Make sure I heard it right. Okay.
It's on the DS and the 3DS.
Okay.
I'm still playing it. I'm slow. I played it when I have a break. It's At your own pace. I do want to talk about the Nintendo Direct because I watched it. I kind of was shown.
Your mic is jumping out. Your mic is jumping out.
No.
I don't know why it's breaking up right now. So.
All right. Should be good now.
Yeah, Fire Emblem looked really good.
It did.
Looked really. I wish I can play it.
Like animation wise, like a step up from Three Houses for sure. Like it looked really good. Yeah. The main character has weird hair, but it's cool.
I thought it was cool. You talking about the one with the colors, like with the cape, the white cape? Like
he's wearing like some like white and gold. He has like half red and half blue hair. It's like
it's definitely unique because I've never seen a main character like that.
Dude, it's funny because the main characters in Fire Emblem always have blue hair, almost always have blue hair, except for the one time, like on the Game Boy Advance, for 2 games where the main characters had red hair. Yeah. So it's kind of like, what are we gonna do? Red and blue.
I'm starting to see a lot of strategy games, and I'm starting to see them do that like new animation, like bringing this animation side with it. Is that something I've never played the other Fire Emblems, but is that different with this Fire Emblem?
It's weird because the Game Boy Advance games, those 3 Fire Emblem games that were on that system are amazing, animation wise. Like the animations are like really over the top. I just love it, but ever since then they've become more like I guess mundane. Not mundane, but
I don't.
I'm gonna say normal.
Okay.
So in the Game Boy Advance Fire Emblems, like the characters would attack, they do like front flips and they spin around and jump in the air and do all types of crazy stuff. But the newer ones kind of like, okay, well these guys are gonna kind of fight like maybe how they would if they were regular. They're gonna kind of slash at each other.
Right. Okay. But I would say those animations I saw in that preview for Fire Emblem. What's it called?
Yeah.
Fire Emblem. What's the name of it?
Something weird. It really makes me think like it's a spinoff or something. Let me look it up. I think Shuffle keeps popping in my head, but I know it's not Shuffle. I know it's not Shuffle.
Encore. I'm trying to scroll for the name. I can't find it.
Engage.
Yeah, there it is. Engage. Yep.
Fire Emblem Engage. The animations were Genshin level. And I hate that I'm using Genshin as a barometer, but it screamed to me like the same feeling I get like when you have those like cutaways. It's kind of that level, and I don't remember ever seeing that for the Fire Emblem trailer or anything. But correct me if I'm wrong on that, because
No, I think the animations are definitely a step up from like Three Houses for sure. It looks a lot better now. The characters look a little weird. But
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there. I
Now,
think I'm excited. The systems, look really good.
now, what else did they show? Because I didn't get very far through the whole thing because I started watching it when I got home, but like a lot of things came at me at
They
once. So,
they showed a lot of things. They showed a lot of farming games.
farming.
Yeah, a lot of farming games, a lot of RPGs.
Oh, okay.
Um, at the end, they showed.
Oh, yeah. I think your mic went out. I can't hear you
Oh
anymore.
wait, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. They showed footage from the new Zelda game, which people have been calling Breath of the Wild too, but they actually
Yeah.
named the title. It's like
Oh,
Tears of the Castle or something.
I might have to get. I might have to get a Nintendo.
I really think you should. Like
I've
it's
never played
good.
a Zelda game, and it just haunts me
You've
every
never
year.
played a Zelda game?
No,
Yeah, you
never.
need to.
I've never
All right,
Yeah,
played one.
so
Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom. There it is. Yep. I keep thinking Tears of the Clown, and I'm just crazy. But I know it's not that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they showed that. They showed Pikmin 4. Um, Bayonetta 3 has a release date finally after being in
Bayonetta.
like purgatory for many years.
Yeah.
Um, a couple of remakes. Tales of Symphonia is being remade, which is
Oh,
it's just
GameCube game, right?
yeah, that was my first Tales game. I'm gonna get it.
Mm.
Looking forward to that.
I'm gonna have to get the Nintendo Direct. I mean,
There,
Nintendo Switch.
no, you definitely should. There's a lot of good games on it.
Interesting.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild is I'm not gonna say it's a must play, but
I think most people would say it's must play, and I feel so bad that I've never played a Zelda game. What happened was I got Nintendo, and then I had an N64,
right.
and once it was either the PS2 or PS3 came out.
Dude. All right, so I have a Wii, right? It's a little like modded or whatever. So I can let you borrow it, or you can hold it. Basically, this Wii can play all these games. You can play every Zelda game pretty much up until
I
Breath
might
of the
need to
Wild.
do that. I might need
Yeah,
to do that. Awesome,
I, I,
awesome.
I agree.
Does that cover all the games from Nintendo Direct,
Um,
or did you?
pretty much. I'm trying to think what else came out. There's a Harvest Moon game they're coming out with. So Harvest Moon is weird because basically the name Harvest Moon is owned by the company that localized the game, but the actual company that made the games didn't actually own the name, and they
Okay,
branched off from that company and they're making their own like games called like Story of the Seasons. So
okay,
another
Yeah.
company taking over Harvest Moon.
okay.
So anyway, the original company is remaking one of the GameCube games. I think it's called like A Wonderful Life or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the one.
And I'm gonna definitely get that. I love that game. I played it when I was a kid and it was great.
Did you mess with Stardew Valley at all?
I did a little bit. It was
Mm.
like I feel like if that game had came out at a different point in my life, I would have loved it. But
Right.
when I got it, it was like it wasn't right. It wasn't right now. So I never like replayed it. But I can see it's good. I won't like it at a different point.
Right.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna try to wrap this up very, very quickly. But I have a lot to say on this one, on what I'm currently playing, and I'm playing 2K. So try not to fall asleep. So like I remember messaging Venom a month ago or so, like once the 2K
Maybe two.
when the 2K report came out, and from what the things that they put in that report, I was initially excited because a lot of the things they talked about were market improvements over the last 5 years of 2K. Now, prior to 2017, I can't speak on that because I didn't play it. I didn't play the game before 2017. So for the last 5 years, I've been on this journey with 2K. I love basketball. I'm a basketball fan. And it's just been this roller coaster because every year it's like I have friends that play it. I have friends that don't play it, and the friends that don't play it are like 2K sucks, sports games suck, they make the same game every year, blah blah. My friends who play it, they're like, this game sucks, there's so many flaws with it, and me personally, I'm just looking for like a basketball sim. I love sports sims. I love stats. I love, I'm constantly checking basketball reference, football reference. I'm a subscriber to PFF. I'm constantly into sports. It's weird because I don't play sports, but I used to. But I love following the game. So when they said their focus this year was authenticity, yes, it caught my attention. Now, am I a shill for automatically wanting to buy the game at that point? Probably. But I expected the game to be good. Now, a lot of times, for the last 5 years, I've expected the game to be good. Have they been good? I would say they've all been good. Have they been to my expectations? No. I would say the only one that was exceeded my expectations was 2K17. That was the first year that I started playing 2K. Before then, I played NBA Live. So I'm old. I'm an old head. I played NBA Live back since like 2000. So I played I think I played Live 99. I can't even remember the lives that I played, but I stopped playing when Live went to shit. I think in 2012, and I was originally hesitant to get into 2K because it was like the new kid on the block. Like, this game can't, Live was the king, and everybody's like, oh, you should play 2K. I was like, and I played it, and I remember they used to run really funny, and I was just like, this game, it's like, what does this game think it can compete with Live? Like, and it's funny because now 2K is the only basketball game. So,
Man, 2K was way more realistic back then.
That's, the one thing I would give 2K is that they had jump shots. Like in NBA Live, everyone shot the same. So that was the only reason why, like, I would play 2K was like, oh, he shoots like Allen Iverson for real. Like that was the only reason I played it. But other than that, I had to warm up to it. 2K17 was the first time that I played it, and I really didn't have any expectations. So I guess that's why I exceeded it. But I really loved it. Like, it was like I was playing online with people, competitive. I created my own build. I was a lockdown, and I just felt like I felt like I was having a lot of fun. I played pretty much more. I played with people, but I played mostly by myself, and pick up games and stuff like that. But it was like 2K18. I found like a group to play with, and 2K18, I liked it, but every year 2K tries to focus on different aspects of the game. Okay, so 2K18, so they are different. This is why I can't stand the argument that they're all the same, because they don't play the same at all. Like, if you get down to the physics of it, which is what matters. But I can see how people can look at, like you could pull up the game and say, see, it's the same game, right? But when you play it every year, like extensively, like I play thousands of hours every year, like every time I go back to one or I go forward to one, it feels completely different. So it's hard for me to explain the difference, because it's like more like a feeling, like, like it's not like I could just point to something. But like in 2K18, one of the major differences is how you move around the court. And in 2K18, they had this blow by animation. It was easier to blow by people, right? And so everybody hated this because they felt like it made the game too easy. I loved it because when I played my career, it felt like I didn't have to work so hard on the hardest difficulty to get past the computer. Because if anybody knows, when you play these games, sports games on Hall of Fame or like the hardest difficulty, the computer is like they're mirroring your movements. It's like so hard. Like, but for me, I can't play it on any lower difficulty because of my pride. So I have been torturing myself every year playing my career to try to like beat the computer, and it never really feels like I'm playing basketball. It feels like I'm trying to beat this game. You know what I mean? Yeah. So 18 didn't feel like I was playing a game. It felt like I was more so playing basketball because of the blow by animation. But we go to 19 and they take it away, and 19 was really difficult for me. Most people say 19 was good because they created this aura on defense where you didn't have to really jump and you can just like defend. So defense was really OP in that game. And I hated it because me playing like my sim, online, my career by myself, I really struggled that year beating the computer, like, because they had this aura around them on defense. I felt like it was just really difficult for me. 20, 21, and 22 were like carbon copies of each other, so that's where you can kind of say the game was kind of the same. But I felt like 21 and 22 were like the worst versions of 2K that I played. And so I've started to become really down. I started telling my friends that I was going to retire from 2K because I felt like they were not going in the right direction. So that's what I'm building up to the significance of what this report was. And I know, Venom, you bought the game last year, were disappointed with it. And I played through last year. I was disappointed the more I played through it because they made significant changes to the game throughout the year that made it worse. And so I was very disappointed with 2K. So 2K dropped on Friday, and I literally have been playing it nonstop. Like, even as we've been talking, I've been itching to play it because what they did with the game was they made it so that you can... They struck this balance where you have this power on offense now, where like if you want to do the Luka step back, you can. If you want to kill from the mid range, you can, because they effectively killed the mid range for the last 2 or 3 years. But if you want to kill from the mid range, you can. If you want to go inside and be Shaq and dunk on the computer, you can. So it feels like you can effectively score on the hardest difficulty from all 3 levels. But also they made it so you can be stopped. So it's more like, yeah, you could do all these fantastic things, but you can also counter it. And the way they did it was they added these extreme stamina systems. So you have 3 bars now before you can do moves. So the fact that you could do these really overpowered things is great, but you have a short window to do it in. So I thought that was very like ingenious, because it's like, yeah, I know, like I have a center build right now. Yeah, I can back this guy. I can back Rudy Gobert down and dunk on him. But sometimes a double team comes and it's like, oh my God, I've already used 2 bars of my stamina. I only have 1 left, so I have to make this move count. If I go right and Rudy blocks me off, it's over. I've turned the ball over. You see what I'm saying? So it creates this game within the game where, yeah, you could do these overpowered things, but you can also mess up very easily. They've also made it so you can't make a shot unless you green. There's no more whites. Like they've eliminated it. And so that's a blessing and a curse, because like, yeah, it adds skill to the game, but also it makes it every shot is so much more concentrated now. Like I can't play the game if I'm sleepy, even though I've tried, because I will miss all my shots because you have to green them.
Have they increased the green window?
It is not increased, but it's so hard for me to describe. It's not hard, but it's not easy. It's one of those things where it's like, it's really this medium difficulty, it's medium high difficulty. And it's really turned off a lot of people, because like some people can't shoot in this game now. Like, so the shooting is really bad. I'm not sure if Mike Wang is going to cave, because right now I'm used to shooting 70-80% in the rec. I'm shooting 40% right now. Which I love. Like, I'm not mad at it. That's
realism.
Like,
yeah.
it feels real. Now, will Mike Wayne cave on it? I don't know, because the finishing is a little OP online. Now, I would say in my career by yourself, it's exaggerated on Hall of Fame, but in online, people are kind of finishing at a higher clip. I will say that the games are still like 70 points. So it's not like the offense is so OP, because like I said, you get those steals, people run out of stamina, people make mistakes. That's the thing. Like, yeah, you can run to the hole and dunk easier than last year, but you're probably going to make a mistake. What they did, how they balanced it is like the passing. Like, if most people don't pass the ball, so they pick like a 70 pass or like a low 70 pass. If you don't have like a 75 pass, there is a wind up animation when you pass it. So
nice.
People are making mistakes, and so I've been enjoying the game so much, and it's not to say the game doesn't have flaws, because it does. I've definitely raged already, and it just, but it's more about like me understanding the game rather than the game is making me mad, because I feel like, Mike Wayne, what are you trying to say? Tell me, I need to do, because I don't understand how to, like, because I was trying to figure out paint defense, because I'm the center on my team. And I recently realized yesterday that like, I'm using too much turbo. And I remember one of the developers that I follow for 2K said, you stop using the R2 button. And I was like, oh, this is what they mean. Because I'm used to, like, if I'm in the paint and you come in the paint, I'm just going to R2 super block every time. But now I'm noticing people are getting buckets by me. I'm like, oh, how did I not affect that shot? Well, you tried to super block. Why don't you try just regular blocking? Super block has its place. And I'm getting that now. So where other people would say, hey, F that, I hate this game, it's bad, I'm saying to myself, I need to learn it. It's a game that I have to learn. I have to reteach myself because I have a lot of bad 2K habits that I have to like let go of. And they added where you can actually, like, when you go into your game in my career, you walk into the arena and you have to literally walk into the game. Now and you have to actually go into the locker room and change your clothes. Like, it's where 2K is going with it. It's so good. And I feel like how I felt with Cyberpunk, it's like, I don't think they're going to capture a lot of people with this, because the 2K community they currently have, they really only care about, like, how do I be OP? Just tell me how I, like, you know, I want to peak, I want to speed boost. You know, this is the community. The sim community is very small, and the people that are on the outskirts, the people that I see on Twitter and people like yourself, Venom, that like basketball, but they just feel like 2K doesn't get it right with the authenticity. I don't know if they're going to try this one. So it's 2K's in this weird space where they might pull some of those people, because they have. Like, I followed Dazar, and he's like a sim head, and he also works for 2K. A lot of people that follow him are very happy with this game. Like, they're singing his praises, but they're a small part of the community. And it's like the people that are the cheesers and stuff like that, like, and the people that like the other parts of the 2K community, like, I'll be honest, like, the point guard that plays on our team, he told us yesterday he was going to quit the game because he literally was struggling so bad. And it's like, we finally convinced him to, like, come back and play the game, but it's like, when you're telling people to learn, it's just like, it's a hard thing. And it's so interesting to me, because it's just like, I wanted to tell you so bad, Venom, this is the one you should try, but I'm so scared that you'll get in the game and it still won't be
and
authentic
it will change
enough.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'll just wait and see if they follow up on this next year to recommend this game. So I'm currently playing 2K. I want to say, talk about my experience, but I also want to say that I wouldn't recommend this one right now. I want to see how they follow this game. So I hate to say it. Let's see what they do with 2K24. If they build upon this.
Wait, hold on. You don't need to jump to 2K24. There's going to be updates, right? There's going to be updates.
Yes.
So let's wait and see whether they renege on any of this stuff, whether they try to appease some of the more arcade style players, the more street ball style players. That love to dribble until they get their speed boost.
Yes.
Hey, so
go ahead.
I know we're not editing this. I'm sorry, but for a second there, I forgot that I was like participating. I was listening, like, oh, this is a good ass NBA 2K
podcast. Yeah, I mean, I promise I don't want to make this a 2K podcast, but it came out recently and it's made such a market impression on me that I just had to talk about the details of it, because it's just like, it's something that Czar said. He said it takes 3 years for them to get the systems. So I think they started with 2K19 in 2021 and 22. It explains it. It explains why those games were not good. Like 19,
trust in the cycle.
It's the cycle, and it's like, and that's what it brought me back to. They probably shouldn't be making this game every year. Like, it's like, because it creates this bad will. Like, you eat your goodwill that way, and it makes me sound like a shill, because it's like, I can't really. It's like, oh, 2K23 is good. Oh, you're gonna say that every year? It's like, and there's a lot of things in this game that's the same as last year. Like the wreck, when you enter it, it's the same. Some of the same stuff, and I applaud it, because I don't want them to change so much, because I want them to improve the game, not change it. Because every time they have to completely revamp it, it's like they're starting over. And it's like they need to build upon what they have. And the last thing I want to touch on is that I played a lot of my career on Hall of Fame. And like, literally, this sounds really bad. Last year, my career was so bad. Like, I had 12 games in a row where all my players on my team, all of them, shot 1 for 12. Like the computer was so inadequate, and I almost felt like a scam. Like it feels like a scam. Like you can't play it because the AI is so bad. This year, my first game that I played was against the Nets. It was such a good game. I literally felt like I should have been recording it because I lost the game. But after the game, I sat back and was like, oh my God. And I'm going to tell you how I lost. Okay, first of all, I was beating the Nets by 20 points. Okay, but Ja Morant I was struggling. Ja Morant was carrying us. I'm on the Grizzlies, by the way. And I'm watching him. Like, I'm a fan of Ja Morant on the court with him. It's never happened to me in any 2K. I've never played alongside the AI and was like, oh my God, you take the ball. Because obviously, I'm not doing the job. And Ja Morant he was having himself a game. And I was like, wow, this is happening. And he was actually playing great defense on Kyrie. And I was just like, I had a smile on my face the whole time. I was like,
hold on. You said realism and you said Ja Morant playing defense. I'm out. See you next year, bruh. You ain't gonna get me again.
He's a pretty bad defender on my team, but he was having a good game. Like Kyrie was struggling. Let's put it that way. Kyrie was struggling, and the third quarter came, and Kyrie turned the fuck up. Like it was almost like they came all the way back. Okay, they started doubling Ja. I was missing my shots. Jaren Jackson was not on anymore. He was, Jaren was doing all right, but it's like everybody was doing their part. Like it wasn't like any of my players was playing horrendously bad. Like, Dylan was being Dylan. I mean, he just shoots bad. Like it looked real. Like he's kind of real to how he plays.
Yeah.
And it got down to a 6-point game with 2 minutes left. Then Kevin Durant came down. They got a switch onto me. I have no perimeter defense. And Kevin Durant hit a 3 in my face. I was like, fair enough. And then the next play came. We had a turnover. Kyrie gets a layup. And then it's the last. They get the ball. We get another turnover. They get the ball back. And this play, Venom, it hit me right in. I was just like, wow. Okay. I was so nervous. I was like, oh my God. You have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. They're down by 1. I don't know how we win this. And so we come out of the huddle. I let it play out for drama sake. They get it in. They get the ball into Kyrie. I tried to front Kevin Durant because I didn't want him to get the ball. They get the ball into Kyrie. They get a switch onto me. I'm like, oh no! I call a double team. Kyrie hits a smooth move on me, breaks my ankle, step back. It hits like I swear it was like on Klay Thompson. It was cash.
Oh yeah,
buzzer beater.
Christmas game.
It was over, and I was just like, yo, that was one of the greatest games of 2K. I'm telling you, the whole game was so dramatic, and everybody played their part. It wasn't like I wasn't focused on all these little things of like, why did he shoot a 0% shot? Like, why is my AI so bad? No, we played our game plan. They played their game plan. We had a lead. We lost the lead. Momentum. It just was so good. And I was just like, man, and every game has been really good. Like, I've not had a bad game. I haven't won every game, but every game has been eventful. Like, Kristaps Porzingis dropped 27 on me. He did. I mean, how did he do it? I could not stop Bradley Beal and Kurtz in their pick and roll. Like, I was trying to figure it out. Like, they kept telling me to show and to drop, and I was like, but Kristaps is out there and he's on right now. And we still won the game because Kristaps got cold in the fourth, and I thought that was pretty. He's not like the greatest shooter, but he was hot. He had a moment where he was hot, and I was worried, and he got real hot. And so when they played me again, I played them again. They was like, oh, Kristaps went off. And also, they added a halftime show. Shaq, Ernie.
They're back.
Yeah. And
so they put it in my career. It was never in my career, right? Yeah, no, it was.
I don't remember it being in my career, but it's in my career now. And
was it in 2K? When was I? 7? I think 2K7.
Yeah, I don't think I played at that point, but
yeah.
But basically, like the storyline was, Kristaps went off last game. Is he going to go off? And I made it a point that he wasn't going to beat me. So this time, Bradley Beal went off.
That's true.
we still won the game, but mostly because Jaren Jackson had a game. But it's like different people every game too. Like Dylan Brooks had a game, Jaren Jackson had a game. Job might go off for 40. Job might score 13 because he's not passing the ball that day. And I say all that to say, I know I'm long winded on this. I feel like I've been talking for like 30 minutes, but 2K, I feel like this 2K sets a good foundation. That's as far as I'll go. It sets a good foundation for what they can do going forward, and I've been having the greatest of times with that. It's actually made me drop Tower Fantasy. Like, I'm no longer playing Tower Fantasy. I am still playing Genshin. We'll save the other Genshin news for next time, Greg.
Thank you. Thank you for Tower Fantasy. I've been waiting to do that. Thank you.
Yeah. It was on my droppable list, but but yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Does anybody have any other closing remarks, reviews, or anything they want to touch on?
I just what did I want to mention? Sony State of Play was today as well.
I missed that.
There were some interesting games in there. I feel like I'm a Team Ninja shill now. Team Ninja have a new game coming out, and I don't even know how they have another studio, but this one is a Sony exclusive.
Okay.
And it is called Rise of... Is it called Rise of Ronin? Rise of the Ronin. And it looks like it's an open world action game.
Is that the one that you say is kind of looks like it's in the vein of Ghost of Tsushima?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say derivative because that would be disrespectful, but
yeah, it's set in Japan. I think it's the 1600s, and yeah, it has like it's further advanced technologically than Ghost of Tsushima, and obviously it being Team Ninja, it has like more over the top combat, but they've got like flintlocks and rifles and stuff like that in it. So yeah, it's an open world game. I don't believe Team Ninja have made an open world game. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Is it multiplayer as well?
We don't know. It didn't say that in the trailer. I haven't seen any other details since I watched the trailer, so I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, looks awesome. You see a glider, and I was like, a glider. Trust me, if you've played Ghost of Tsushima, there's so many moments where you like climb a mountain, you're just like, I need to get down from here, but they had to be historically correct, so I literally have to climb down from here and find somewhere to climb down from here. So limiting, but yeah, they're going a little bit more loose with the history. And yeah, you could see they showed a little bit of combat, and you can tell it's got like the Team Ninja isms in it. It looks cool.
Well, I'm definitely gonna play that, and if it's multiplayer, I'm gonna eat that game.
2024. So it's the wait.
Okay, a little bit of ways away, but give me time to work on it.
So. 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, because they're doing Wolong Fallen Dynasty, which is out first quarter next year.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
And that's why I was surprised that they had another game coming out. I was like, wait. I saw Koei Tecmo. I was like, wait.
They've been working.
They don't have many studios. Yeah.
They've been working.
Think about that. They've been working.
So
yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, this has been great. We hit another hour and 30. Man, it was fun. I'm glad to have all these conversations. There is something I want to touch on with Genshin, but I'm gonna save it for next time because it's not even out yet, and it's going to be another long-winded conversation. But yeah, this is the end. We gotta stay consistent and all that blah blah blah, and keep it fun, keep it casual. That's my whole goal with this. I'm definitely gonna get off and hop into some 2K matches and continue with that. And
let me watch some of that.
I will definitely include you in on that.
Share screen.
I will do that. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. Peace.